What is going on, guys? Grave here. Today I'll talk about how gear tier drops are related or tied directly to your power level. This is kind of to hopefully help with some confusion out there, because the new system, of course, we're all having to get used to it. But when it comes to gear tier, it is tied directly to your power level. And we all know the soft cap is 10 to 200. The season cap is 200 to 400. And the hard cap is going to be from 400 to 450. And at the end of this season, so at the end of the 6-month season, everyone will be reset back to 200. And if you never reach 200 within the season, you'll be just wherever you're at that point. But if you are over 200, you will be reset back to 200. And you'll have to do the grind once again. But when it comes to tiers being tied to your power level, so for example, when you go in, let's say to the portal, and you're going to open it up here, and you can kind of see my portal now. If I go into some solo things, let's say I go into the conflux and I click customize, it's going to show you, of course, your bronze reward over here, and this is going to be just a pinnacle reward at 200. Now that my character is at 200 or over, you'll start seeing your reward tiers go up. So what I mean by that is, if I go in here once again to customize, I go to expert. I don't have master unlocked yet. You cannot unlock that until you're at 260. So then that even's going to give me higher rewards than this does. But like I said, you can see this over here is at 228. But the way to really up this, see, it's only a regular pinnacle reward. You're wanting to start getting those tier 2 and 3 drops. So what you do, I always go in one of the easier ones until they change this, and I kind of think they will, because this gives you a big challenge multiplier, is add the equipment lock, because nothing really needs to change in this, in my opinion. You can see that's bumped up. Then I will go in and just add some simple things here. So as you can see, as soon as I added one more thing, my gear completion reward is now going to be tier 2 at 231. If I add anything else, it's not really changing that. And you may want to go in here and check this to make sure, hey, if I add more, will I get more reward? Because sometimes if you're really close to completing another level, you might get a bump up there. So make sure you're always keeping an eye on that. So this is kind of how I will run this. And then I'm going to start getting, of course, that tier 2 gear on every drop, as long as I'm doing everything intended. I try to make sure I get the bonus objective. I'm trying to make sure I get everything done in the correct amount of time. So the higher the level, the better rewards, the more modifiers that you have on there. And what I mean by the better rewards for the modifiers is not necessarily having tons of them. You just want to check where it says challenge multiplier. That's why I always use the equipment locked one, because it is a massive challenge multiplier. I'm wondering if Bungie will change this eventually, because it's crazy to me that just locking your activity gear items is giving you that much of a multiplier. But when you start getting higher level, you have to keep in mind, to be able to get tier 4 gear, you're going to have to be up around 350 power. So in order to get higher tier of gear, you're going to have to be a higher power level. So to get tier 5 gear, for example, you're going to have to be around 450 power. Now, a lot of people are going in and farming some of the pinnacle ops that we have available to us, because that's giving you, even though they have nerfed it a bit, especially Encore here, they did nerf that. It's not giving you quite as many, but you're seeing you're getting a lot of bonus rewards, completion rewards, and things like that. A lot of people are farming these pinnacles because they're giving a little bit higher of a tier drop, but you're still not going to be in there at level 200 getting tier 5 gear. Everything that I can find out and understand so far, all of your tier, and if I'm completely wrong, somebody can definitely correct me down in the comments, but your tier is pretty much tied into your power level. So everything that I'm able to get right now, as you can see here on my character, everything I've been able to do is always at tier 2. All of the gear that I have that I'm wearing that is decent, some of it sometimes is the tier 1 is better than the tier 2, but I haven't really got many tier 3 drops, actually any tier 3 drops yet, because my power level is not high enough. Only being at 222, I'm not expecting to see that tier 3 gear until I get closer to that, ability to run the next level of difficulty. So when I get into the range of, doing this, like I said, you're going here and going to expert. I'm betting when I hit 260, of course, then I can go into master, and that's going to be better tier gear. I'll start seeing that tier 3 gear. And then once you're at, working your way up to 350, you'll start seeing tier 4 gear, and then so on. It's just a absolute crazy grind. If you have the time to grind, you're going to be able to get tier 4 or tier 5 gear even at solo. This is a bit slower to do solo ops, but most of my friends that used to play don't play as much anymore, or if at all. So grinding out solo ops is the easiest way for me to get this, because if I go in with a random fire team or in the kind of group finder, you may not always hit all the goals. So solo has been the way that I've grinded so far. It is very slow, but it is definitely doable. If you're not a fan of grinding, this is really not going to be a thing for you. And that is one thing that kind of sucks about the Edge of Fate for some people. Some people like the grind, some people don't. If you don't have the time, that's where it's really going to hinder you, because this is not like you're going to go in and be able to grind solo and get done really quickly. You're going to have to grind out hours and hours just to get maybe a few levels at a time sometimes. And that's kind of a bad thing for people that may not have the time to play. But leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this. Hopefully this explained the gear tiers a bit better. I was trying to just make sure that everyone's kind of clear on this, that your tiers are going to be tied to your power level. And that's how you're going to start seeing higher tier gear. Because I know a lot of people have been wondering, I don't see any higher tier than 2 or 3 or whatever the case may be, whatever kind of spot you're in there power level wise. Leave a comment with your thoughts. And of course, if you like the video, hit the like. If you have not subscribed yet, please do so. And I'll catch you next time. Peace.